Now, on the night, there was, as I'm sure you maybe know, maybe don't know, a very strange arrangement between the promoters and some prominent members from the terraces at West Ham, Upton Park. Now, the man in charge of the, quote, special arrangement was author, publisher, and at the time, a very big face at the Hammers. That's Cass Pennant. Now, I spoke to Cass a bit earlier and asked him just what exactly the special arrangement was.
My role tonight was to act as a special security force that knew where the likely trouble would come from, using hand-picked guys that knew the troublemakers, because quite a few of them were from, or closely acquainted with the West Ham firm in the East End.
So how many of you were there, Cash? You're the boss of this special security force on the night. But how many of you were there? 10, 20, 50, 100? Because there's about 12,000 people in there.
Yeah, about 10,000 people. They had the normal security there.
Yeah.
But we had about 16 to 20 guys tops. I think we had about 16 in the night, but I picked about 20.
And did you have to eject anyone?
No, we had to act as... No, that weren't our role, because for the first time ever, you had police inside the venue. Never been seen before. No, we had to act as, like, angels, basically. Get in first. The police and the women's security were going to allow us, because, these things escalate with crowds, to get in, because we could get to the ringleaders and use the respect card and appeal to the ringleaders to get calm from the mob, basically.
Cass, how were you approached, and who approached you?
Terry Lourdes himself. He left a message on the answer phone. At the time, I was running nightclub security, but I knew Terry Lourdes. Relationship with Terry Lourdes was as a ticket seller, a prime ticket seller for Meg Reed, Bruno, and Mark Cade in particular. And the Mark Cade following was obviously, at East End West Ham. They used to wear the West Ham shorts. He called in West Ham Boxing Club, and then went out on the Claret Blue.
So it was Lawless that approached you, and did you sort of, amongst your friends, Cass, amongst the people that you spent a lot of time with travelling up and down the country, did any of those find it odd that you'd been hired, knowing full well that you were going to be really policing some of them?
Yeah, I found it odd at first. We all read the headlines.
Yeah, of course.
We knew who they was referring to, because, we was all there at the Gums fight and the Sibbo fight and that. And I didn't know what I was called in for. And when I got confronted at Royal Oak and actually see what was later called the cartel, you never ever saw them together. You never see Mike Barrett Duff and Terry Lourdes, right, in the Royal Oak gym ever together, certainly I was a regular there. And that's when they laid it on the line and said boxing's on trial, right, and the buck stops with us, right, but we don't understand this football thing that's engulfed us. I knew the mistakes because, they built it up for bums on seats with the Gums fight.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a football thing, but the press were going as a racial thing, and at the time, the political climate, there was a anti-boxing brigade that was gathering storm political weight. So I realised straight away, but when I said, well, I understand the problems, but I said, why am I called? And they said, well, we think you're the ones in charge, that can just solve it like that, like turn the tide back. And I sort of just, laughed and despaired at the same time. I said, it don't work like that,
Of course not.
They said, well, how can it work? We don't know, we don't understand it, and we're at our wit's end. There's no one we can turn to but you. And Terry said, this is my idea, and but we don't know how you can help. And so I said, I want to try and help, but I said, at the time there was this thing with the Angels on the tube.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, from New York.
Yeah, so I sort of thought of that and the Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And sort of rolled the two together.
Yeah. I said, well, look. I said, how far do you want to go? If you want to give me a free hand, I know the right people. Yeah, I can only ask them. Right, and the way to do it is a lot of them have got boxing backgrounds. I can appeal to the ex-side of them because of the East End guys, and a lot of them had boxing background from schools level and things like that, what I mean?
Of course.
And if I appeal from on the right lines instead of the press lines, that are stirring up the racial thing, this, that and the other, right, it might be a genuine thing where we all agree and go, look, it's gone too far, we've got to do something, and everyone take responsibility. So that's what I've done, I used, I didn't just do it on my own. I got together the team I knew because they were thinking it was a West Ham thing, but I knew that half the East End was going to turn out, and there's a lot more serious players and faces than just the football crowd. Do you know what I mean? So I spent a whole week. It was a week before the fight.
Touching base with people.
Yeah, I spent a whole week going into pubs from Essex to East London. Yeah, made the right calls, and everyone I called said we're in. All right, and then it was then a case of on the day, the old headless chicken scenario. Because I had most of the guys who they respected on the security firm. But believe it or not, there was it sounds like something you could only read in a book or a movie. But
well, it is in your book, obviously.
Yeah, it all happened because, like I say, Harry Carpenter picked up on it at the end and asked Terry Lawyers who was the Special Security Forces. But what people don't realise is once the cartel went in the Royal Oak could see that was the way, desperation basically. Right, they still had to contend with Wembley, and they had another problem now, knocked the idea out, because Wembley, we had a meeting with the council and the police superintendent for the area, who said we can't work with known criminals and a wild card security firm. You know what I mean? Don't forget, the scene in them days, there was no security in boxing. Yeah. It was a security-free event. They'd only just started introducing them into football. Boxing was security free. I remember Terry Lawyers after saying, Cass, we pulled it off this time, but this has got to be a lesson to us. It's not just our thing now. I think it's the first words he said. You think, I think boxing now has got to look at security as a boxing event, any major event.
So Cass, finally, did you actually get to watch the fight, or were you too busy?
I was pretty busy, but I was watching what I could, because don't forget what they'd done. They'd taken away a fan. I thought it was one of Kaylor's, biggest fans, but also knew Errol, believe it or not, because we'd done the doors. And the press built up was Coventry West Ham thing, but I was quite surprised when he was doing the doors in South London, Peckham, that he was living down there because he was training down there. We met his brother or cousin, and he used to come along to the club. So my door knew him, and the door was black. Big lads. So I said to him, I said, listen, I knew the West Ham lot. I knew there was an element there. I ain't denying there was a racist element there. Those were the times. But it wasn't the whole picture. Yeah. But what I said to me big black door guys, I said, Errol, give him some confidence, you bring him out. So when we did meet, we had to meet everyone full on basically. We had the backing of Terry Lawyers, who had to keep it hush-hush because the press got hold of this story, it'd be another story, yeah? And the boxing people just wouldn't see it. Yeah. So it was all a hush-hush behind-the-scenes thing, but in reality, we had to go public to stop the violence, the threat of violence. Yeah. So then, like you say, we got people questioning, are we police? You know what I mean? All right, from our own. And then we've also got the Wembley security whose noses are put out of joint. Of course. Yeah.
By you, special security.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you got and then you got the real police that had never been employed in the venue before, outside but not inside. Yeah, that were told by their command, basically, we got to be allowed to go in first before they move in.
That was Cass Pennant talking to me earlier.